What's up everyone, I'm CallumOnToast, and in today's video I was hoping to showcase the HISUI and Zoro line in the HISUI Cup, including a level 50 Zoro that I grinded out the XL candies for pretty much all of yesterday to ensure that it was ready when the leagues rotated. But when the Cup finally went live, you were not able to use either of these Pokemon. But let's be honest, it's not even that surprising that with a new Pokemon coming out, Niantic or Scopely or whoever you want to pin the blame on, didn't think for 1 second to adjust the code for the HISUI Cup to allow for the two brand new Hisuian Pokemon to actually be selectable for this Cup. Now often when a new Pokemon releases, they'll either forget to ban it where it should be banned, or they'll just randomly ban it when it shouldn't be banned, but usually it will get fixed relatively quickly. However, at the time of recording, over 15 hours after the Cup went live, you still can't use these Pokemon, and it's just super frustrating because they're brand new. I spent a lot of time getting the resources to build these Pokemon so I could showcase them whilst there was still a lot of hype surrounding them, but the longer they're banned for, the less anyone is going to care when I'm finally able to put the video out for them in this Cup. So please just get this fixed ASAP. I'm hoping by the time this video goes live it has been fixed, but honestly there's just no guarantee at this point. But anyways, onto this video. Luckily, fellow content creator Jamie Finn came in clutch and provided me with some insane gameplay that perfectly fits this channel, as he's running a triple Shadow Legendary team with Palkia, Dialga and Heatran. Now unfortunately this team really struggles against Gastrodon, which is not ideal since it is absolutely everywhere in this Cup, but despite that he still picked up some incredibly impressive wins. So with that being said, let's just get into the question of the day. What is the biggest mess up that Niantic or Scopely have made at the start of a new season or new league rotation? Let me know in the comment section down below, and with that being said, let's get into the battles now. Alright, so go into the first battle, leading Shadow Palkia into Shadow Drapion. So of course, we're going to have a lot of fast move pressure here. The opponent will have to full send a crunch. They say swap into Shadow Abomasnow, and we can absolutely hard punish them with the Shadow Heatran, double resisting everything they throw. The opponent comes back in with the Drapion. We're going straight for the Magma Storm. Magma Storm is going to grab the first shield from the opponent, and the opponent will fire for charge move. The opponent fires off the Aqua Tail. That gets the KO from that range. We're now going to come in with Dialga, shield this, and we should now be able to commit to a full Dragon Breath farm down. So the opponent swaps into their final Pokemon, Shadow Gallade. But the opponent, we don't even need to throw a charge move here. Shadow Dialga can shield once, go for the full farm down. The opponent recognizing there's nothing they can do there, and so they just concede the match. Into next battle, and we'll say these battles are incredibly fast here. There's just so much fast move pressure across the whole team, and as well, we're just going to go down incredibly quickly in the bad matchups as well. But we are going to say swap into Dialga, and this time the opponent responds with their Shadow Abomasnow. So unfortunately, Dialga, even though we take neutral damage from a Weather Ball, goes down there to the Abomasnow. But once again, we can come in with the Heatran, 3 fire spins, gets the farm down, but they've got Gastrodon in the back. And we're on Stone Edge rather than Earth Power for coverage. Stone Edge grabs the shield anyways. There's just nothing we can do. And so this time, we're the ones conceding the match early. But into next battle, we're going to see Empoleon in the lead. I believe this one is on Steel Wing. Quite hard to see the fast move animation because Shadow Palkia is just so damn massive. But we're going to shield up the Drill Peck here. We are going to bank a ton of energy, swap catch to charge move onto our Dialga as the opponent fires off a second Drill Peck. The opponent staying in with their Empoleon just to be farmed down. It looks like the opponent might have just barely banked a charge move before swapping out there, but they swap into Shadow Gallade. Shadow Gallade cannot commit to the farm down here. They're going to be forced to throw a charge move. I think they might have banked back-to-back Leaf Blades, but it doesn't really matter. We can just come in with our Heatran. For some reason, we exit the app there. I don't know if we're checking our PV Poke matchups up against the Shadow Gallade here, but either way, Leaf Blade going to be double resisted. It does not do much damage. Let's see if the opponent did bank the move. They did, so we're going to have to shield this up here. But remember, Palkia is absolutely loaded on energy, but it doesn't even matter because once again, there's an Abomasnow in the back, and that's going to be GG's. The opponent fires off the Weather Ball. That's double resisted. We get the Fire Spin farm down, and we're able to take that game. Now into the next battle, another Shadow Empoleon, but it looks like this time they're on Metal Claw. Again, very difficult to see, so I don't know if Jamie Finn will have recognized this in battle, but he's able to make the perfect catch there, so I guess he's onto it. We are going to see another Drill Peck coming through. This time the opponent comes in with a Hex Dust Noir. What the hell even happened to me there? We are going to see the opponent fires off the Shadow Punch. They do overfarm. Again, we're swapping out here. I don't really know. Maybe we're just reminding the viewers that this team is absolutely awful, and we're showing that it is not ranked very well on PvPoke. But anyways, we are going to fire off the Aqua Tail on the CMP tie here. Aqua Tail from Shadow Palkia is going to grab that final shield. So at this point, we're just going to hope that they don't have another Gastrodon in the back. They actually undercharge that, looking to farm us down, which is a smart play. However, of course, we can just swap out there, come in with the Shadow Heatran, and let's see what do they have in the back. The opponent comes in with a Shadow Drifloon. They try to make the catch. We're making sure that does not happen, and now we can full send the Stone Edge. Stone Edge gets the one shot there. We take out the Shadow Drifloon, and we're able to take that game. But speaking of Drifloon, we're going to see it in the lead here. We stay in initially, we then swap into our Dialga, and we're going to take neutral damage here from an Icy Wind, but again, that's just going to do so much damage. The opponent does drop our attack. They're forced to go for a crunch here. I mean, Aqua Tail probably takes us out anyways, actually, to be fair. But the opponent is going to throw straight away. We win CMP, and we grab a shield there. Again, I don't know what we're doing here. I don't know if, like, maybe we're lagging as charge moves are coming through, so we're trying to prevent that, or I genuinely don't know. Jamie Finn, you're going to have to let us know in the comments. Why do we keep looking at our ratings up against the meta? I don't know. But anyways, we are going to shield up the crunch. They come back in with the Drifloon, and we're waiting for the opponent to reach the Icy Wind before swapping and catching it double resisted onto the Shadow Heatran. And let's see, the opponent comes back in with the Drapion just to be farmed down, but they've got Bastiodon in the back. And of course, if we had Earth Power, this is probably just a guaranteed win. However, this is looking a little bit tricky for us. We fire off the Magma Storm. Magma Storm is actually doing decent damage considering we have been debuffed. A second Magma Storm coming through, and Heatran actually able to reach a third Magma Storm, and that's going to guarantee the win here. As long as Palkia can actually throw the charge move when we come back in, and we're able to do so. Of course, Aqua Tail takes out the Bastiodon, and we're able to take that game. Into the next battle, we're going to see a Shadow Abomasnow in the lead. So we're going to swap, catch the move onto Dialga. And once again, this is neutral damage, but that does so much damage there. We bait out a Gastrodon, and honestly, if the opponent two shields their Gastrodon, we are just going to straight up lose this game here. Once again, swapping out of the app there. Genuinely don't have a clue what we're doing. But anyways, I'm going to fire off the Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail, we need this to just be no-shielded, but nope, they're going to commit to the full farm down. And that is unfortunately going to be game over. Heatran will not appreciate the double super effective Mud Stabs coming through. They don't need to throw any energy. We've still got two shields left, but there's nothing we can do there. And so, of course, we do go down and lose that game. But into the next battle, we see Gastrodon this time in the lead, which is definitely where we want to see it. However, still an issue for us because Palkia is going to struggle quite a lot in this matchup. Hopefully, we can at least reach back-to-back Aqua Tails. It looks like we throw on CMP here, which is kind of risky, but the opponent no shields, which is huge for us. They're now going to come in with a Spiritomb. We swap into our Shadow Dialga, and we're actually able to reach an Iron Head, which is quite surprising here. But Iron Head is going to be shielded. It's actually a CMP tie, so best case scenario for us. And of course, Rock Tomb, resisted damage. It still gets the KO there. We are going to come in with the Shadow Heatran, and they've got a Mamoswine in the back. Luckily for us, they're on Powder Snow. I think that is the recommended moveset for this meta, and the opponent just going to concede the match there, and we take that game. But into the next battle, I'm going to see a Shadow Gliscor in the lead. So, looks like this time we're not going to try and make a catch here. I guess testing the waters to see if they're on Aerial Ace or Night Slash as their cheapest move. Maybe looking to catch the next one, and we do catch it onto our Dialga. Once again, banking a ton of energy from our Shadow Palkia, but we're met with Dust Noir, and we are not going to reach a charge move at all there. That is obviously the drawback of catching a move on Dialga. That does like 50% of our HP, and it puts us into farm down range. We're probably not reaching a charge move in most matchups, unless they come in with something like a Drapion, where of course we are going to double resist the fast move damage. But anyways, once again, putting all of our faith into Shadow Heatran. We're going to have to shield this up here. Even a Shadow Punch going to do quite a lot of damage here. The opponent is going to reveal their final Pokemon to be a Shadow Drapion, but unfortunately, Shadow Heatran, Aqua Tail takes us out there, and we do lose that game. But into the next battle, very awkward lead for us. We're going to swap into our Dialga, and Dialga is once again just barely not able to reach the move there. And at this point, we realize this. We're not going to be able to do anything, and so we just concede the match. But into the next battle, we're going to say swap into Dialga once again, and the opponent will outpace us to that charge move. We're actually happy to just fully sacrifice Dialga here. That is an interesting play, recognizing that if we shield there, it doesn't really help us that much. They come in with their own Palkia. We're just barely able to reach the Arquitel. Arquitel gets the KO from that range. Obviously, that is double resisted, but they were fairly low. Let's see what the opponent wants to do. They've got Gastrodon in the pack once again. And once again, there is literally nothing we can do there. But into the next battle, we're going to see Vespiquen in the lead. So we're able to swap, catch the charge move. But once again, this is going to get us fairly low on our Dialga. Actually, we tanked that a little bit more comfortably than I thought. And they actually come in with a Poison Sting Toxicroak. So not too bad for us. The opponent actually fires off a Mud Bomb there, which is a little bit worse for us because now they do just barely reach a last second Mud Bomb, as it is one less to the second charge move there. But we do get the full farm down. We've got a ton of energy. The opponent comes back in with a Shadow Drapion. So firing off the Iron Head here. Can we reach a second Iron Head before they reach the Crunch? The answer is yes, or at least before they throw. I don't know, maybe they overfarmed. But either way, Iron Head grabs the final shield from the opponent, and suddenly things are looking much better for us. The opponent fires off the Arquitel. I think we've got an Arquitel loaded, so we're going to throw it straight away into Drapion, and that will be game over. Arquitel gets the KO. They've got Vespiquen, but of course, we've got our Shadow Heatran once again able to make the catch there, and that's going to be game over. X-Scissor is going to be double resisted, and so the opponent just concedes the match. Into the next battle, another Shadow Drifloon. This time we're just staying in with the Palkia, recognizing we can actually outpace them if we just stay in. However, of course, if they do have a Gastrodon in the back, which could be quite likely, then of course we're just going to lose that game. But we swap out there into Dialga. The opponent swaps at the same time into a Shadow Drapion, and here we will be able to reach an Iron Head. We throw once again as late as possible. Iron Head is going to be shielded by the opponent, and the opponent will throw straight away. At this point, once again, saving our shield for the Shadow Heatran, hoping that Heatran can do something to the back Pokemon. But we're going to come in with that Heatran. Let's see what the opponent wants to do. They're going to come back in with the Drift Blend. We're able to swap out, catch the charge move here as the opponent reaches the Shadow Ball. They do bait there with the Icy Wind. However, they do not reach another charge move. But their final Pokemon is going to be Bastiodon, and I think we're just a little bit too low here. And once again, if we had Earth Power, probably a guaranteed win for us. But unfortunately, we don't, so we're going to go for the Stone Edge BM. You can see we would have reached a Magma Storm and the Stone Edge, and the Earth Power there to take that game. But unfortunately, Stone Edge is resisted. We went for it for the BM there. But into the next battle, we're going to see a Gastrodon in the lead once again. So at this point, of course, I'm going to shield this up here. Last time, they did not shield their Gastrodon, which is very good for us. We're going to fire off the Arquitel just before they do reach a second Body Slam. Arquitel is going to be shielded, so we swap into Dialga, and unfortunately, just barely not able to snipe them with the Dragon Breath damage before they reach an Earth Power and grab our final shield. But this time, Dialga is at least going to reach a last second charge move. We full send the Thunder, and Thunder actually gets the KO there. They come back in with the Gastrodon, and their final Pokemon is going to be a Quillfish. Now, this is still going to be very awkward for us. We are going to come in with our Shadow Heatran, and we should just barely tank an Arquitel here. And we are double resisting the Poison Sting damage, but they're going to be so spammy. So we are going to swap, catch the next move onto our Palkia. This is double resisted, not a stab, but it still gets the KO. And unfortunately, we're not going to be able to Fire Spin farm them down. The opponent reaches one more Arquitel. Arquitel takes out the Shadow Heatran, and unfortunately, we do lose that game. But into the next battle, we're going to see a Shadow Mamoswine in the lead. The opponent's going to Safe Swap into Spiritomb, so we're going straight for the Arquitel here. And depending on if they shield or not, we might swap out of this matchup, and we are going to swap out. Now, at this point, we might read that the opponent is just going to bait with a Rock Tomb. We're going to no shield. Once again, not putting any shields into Dialga, and they do actually just fully farm us down there. But, of course, we put them into range where we can fully Dragon Breath farm them down there, or Fire Spin farm them down. The opponent's going to come in with the Mamoswine. They actually swap out into Vespiquen, and Heatran is going to feast on the two remaining Pokemon here, as of course we are double resisting the bug damage. We're gonna commit to a full Fire Spin farm down. We don't need to shield as the opponent goes for an X-Scissor there. They don't even farm up to the Power Gem. We can commit to the Fire Spin farm down up against the Mamoswine as well, and we're able to take that game. Into the next battle, and possibly the final battle of this video, we're going to swap, catch what's presumably a Hyper Fang onto our Shadow Dialga, and that still does so much damage. That is actually ridiculous, but the opponent does not commit to the farm down, they really should have done there, as of course, we would not reach an Iron Head, but the opponent just playing it super safe. Now, of course, we can come in with the Heatran once again. Don't really know what we're looking at there, but we get the Fire Spin farm down, and let's see what the opponent wants to do. They come back in with the Barrel, but honestly, we're dealing decent damage with these Fire Spins here. We're going to fire off the Magma Storm. Magma Storm gonna be no-shielded, and their final Pokemon is Shadow Drapion, and surely we just win this game at this point. Of course, I'm gonna shield up the Aqua Tail here. We are taking double resist with fast move pressure, so they will need a charge move to get the KO. We fire off that Fire Spin, the Magma Storm there. We swap into Palkia, and we're actually able to throw the Aqua Tail on the CMP type, winning CMP. And of course, we can now just let Palkia go down. Crunch is actually going to be undercharged possibly, but it doesn't really matter. We can come back in with that Heatran. Magma Storm will, of course, take out the Drapion, and we're able to take that game. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, please make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. Now, if you want to take your support to the next level, you can become a channel member with perks including early access to new videos, shoutouts at the end of each video, custom loyalty badges, and custom emojis to use in the comments of every video. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone that has become a channel member already. Your support is greatly appreciated. And with that being said, thank you so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.